All right, here we go. Welcome, CEOs. I'm so excited that you are here at the Think Like a CEO webinar. Today, we're going to talk about the foundational elements to really start running your business like a boss, the boss that you are, right? Let me tell you a little bit about myself first. So I know that there are a bunch of new faces around here. I am Danielle Jefferson. I come from 15 years of a corporate background where I earned my Six Sigma certification and have a ton of professional process and operational experience. I got tired of the corporate life and decided to go out on my own. And so I started Jefferson James Consulting specifically to help small businesses, entrepreneurs, and solopreneurs just really get into their operations so that they can thrive in their businesses. So I am a virtual COO and I serve these small businesses that are at multiple points. They're either getting started, growing, or they're just ready to do something new and take something to the next level. So as I say, it doesn't really matter where you are in your journey as the CEO for your business or where your business is. It all comes back to the process and all of the foundational things that you have going. These are the places where having everything in order is really crucial. And my why and my mission behind everything is to really make sure that for the reason you got into owning your own business, right? To have more freedom in your life, to have something that's your own, to spend more time with your family. All of these things are not going to happen unless you can do that in a way that's not taking over your life with your business, right? And so that is why I think it's really important for everyone to have a great foundation. So you are here. There's lots of ways to start thinking about how you might have business fundamentals. When we think about this, you might think, oh, I need to make sure I know who I'm targeting, right? How am I finding clients? What do I sound like? What do I look like? What's my brand? What's my logo? What are my colors? And how am I making sales? That is all things that are important. I'm not a business coach. I'm not a sales coach. I am a COO and a process ninja. And so, what I'm talking about is how you are managing your business every day of your life. So, what you're doing in the day to day operations, that is going to be the difference between being the boss of your business and running your business like a boss. So, we're going to get into what are the foundational elements that you need to build in your business or go back and make sure you really have strong to get to that CEO status. All right, this is going to be a long slide. So I can't see your faces, all of your faces on the screen. If you have a question, if you have a comment, if you just want to yell something at me, you're just going to need to unmute yourself and yell it out because I can't see you, but feel free to interrupt me at any point because I want this to be conversational. I'm going to have a couple slides and then the majority of this conversation, I want to spend time where you're kind of getting like COO office hours. I want to hear what your things are that you're working in your business. What are your roadblocks? What are your critical pieces that you're missing in your foundation so that we can, work through those together. And then you can also bounce ideas off of other CEOs that are here on the call. So let's first talk about these foundational elements. Your business structure. If you're coming from working at a company or a corporate environment, you're really going to know this as an org chart, right? So what are all of the different departments or organizations in your business that need to happen? You probably, if you're like running your own business like I am, right, your name is going to be under each of these departments as the head of that department. And that's okay. What I'm saying is you need to know everything that you're doing in your business to know what are all of the pieces that make it all go. So when I think about my business, for example, I am the CEO. I am the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, right? I'm the CFO. I handle all the finances. I'm the head salesperson. I'm my own COO, right? Head of operations. And then I work with my clients. I'm also my own administrative assistant. I'm my own, tech person. I'm doing it all. And so are you, right? So there's only one piece of that is actually the working in your business and the reason why we all started our businesses in the first place. And that's when you're really interacting and facing with your clients and customers. Everything else is the operations that happens on the back end. And you need to make sure that all of that is set just as well as you're working with your clients, right? So when we think about the different structures within that, all of the things that I just named off, everybody probably has similar ones to what I just said. You need to think about what are the processes? So let's go to the next piece, right? What are the processes that you are doing to actually do your work and have people work with you? So you're going to have internal things. How are you doing your finances? How are you managing, the marketing that you're putting out there? What's your sales process? Then you get into actually doing the work of your business. What are your client facing processes? When I work with my clients, I like to do this one first because this is the most important, right? This is how you're actually getting money in the door. This is how you're keeping your business going. And this is how you're presenting yourself out to the world. So I like for these processes to be really tight at first because it's really like the gateway into how people see you. When you're doing this, it's very important to make sure that clients understand how they can work with you. If you're a service provider, or if you're providing a product, no matter what you're doing, right? Somebody's coming to you with a need. People aren't coming to you to ask, what do I need to do to work with you? It is your job as the CEO of your business to set out a very clear process for them to say, here's how we engage together. Here's how I'm going to make it easy for you. Here's exactly what we're doing together. So they're not sitting around waiting for you to tell them what to do. You're not sitting around waiting for them to tell you when they can, meet. I see this all the time with clients, right? They say, well, I just ask them when they're available. No, you need to set a process to tell them when are times that you meet, because all that's doing is putting another decision back on your clients when they're coming to you to help them clearly with something that they need, right? So putting together your client-facing processes out of all the processes you have is most critical because that is, the one that is really going to impact your bottom line the most. Then you need to look at all of the internal things that you have going on. These are your back-end operations, right? Where you could be spending a lot of time. You could be inefficient. You could be spinning your wheels. It could be taking up time from you interfacing with new clients, making new sales, working with clients, everything else. The whole point is to make everything kind of like in the back of the house more efficient so you can spend more time doing the whole reason why you got into business in the first place, which is the front of the house. So as long as everything is very clear and it's documented, then you know how to do it and you know how people can work with you. Time and task management. This is critical. I harp on this with everybody. There's two components to this. There's the time, which is like actual finite time that you have in your day and your week. And you have a calendar, right? Most people have some kind of calendar. And then there's the task management. This is the stuff you're actually going to do within the time that you have available to you. If those two things are not working together, you're not going to be efficient and it's not going to be organized and prioritized. So I always like to start with this time and task management by telling people, what are your goals? Ask yourself, what do you need to accomplish? And I start very small. So on a weekly basis, what is like one larger thing that you need to accomplish this week? Maybe you want to get a proposal out the door. What time do you have allocated on your calendar to do work? Okay. So you have a block of time. Now, what are the tasks that you need to do during the week to get that proposal out the door that you can put in a prioritized order for yourself to actually get that out the door and meet your deadline? If you're sitting down to a blank sheet of paper and just writing a proposal, that might be a bunch of tasks kind of lumped into a goal, right? Maybe you need to outline what's going to be in the proposal. Maybe you need to talk to the potential client again and understand what their budget is or what their scope is. You need information. So that's probably a step there. Then you actually need to write it. Then you need to make it pretty and you need to send it out to the potential client, right? So if you have allocated 30 minutes to yourself to do all of that, you might need to be breaking that up into smaller tasks in chunks of time on your calendar to actually complete that. So sitting down with a block of time doesn't necessarily tell you what to do in that time. And sitting down with a to-do list, which is what I'm calling the tasks, right, doesn't necessarily give you the time to get it done. Those two things have to work together to really make it happen. This is you doing the work. This is you doing the work in your business, right? The stuff that's going to make it easier for you are these systems and tools. When I say systems and tools, I don't necessarily mean like a fancy CRM. I don't mean like, you know, some technology out there somewhere that you need to do. I'm talking about what are templates you're putting in place for yourself? What are certain tools that you're using? Like maybe you have a standard, you know, spreadsheet that you're using to always do something. Maybe you're just using a piece of paper to write down your list and you have some kind of, you know, system for yourself and how you go about checking that off every day. You have to start putting these in place to get faster and more efficient with your work so that when you are, you know, getting more clients, you have to be more organized with your time. You have better ways to start doing things. Then we have, which is like, you know, what I love doing is goal setting and road mapping. This is going to be game changing in your business. I see a lot of CEOs who are doing well in their businesses, and there's not much past the next month or the next couple months. There's no vision in terms of like very tactical goals. So most CEOs have a vision, right? But what goals are we setting around that on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis? And how are we mapping out what those look like? Whether it's you know, new things you want to do in your business, whether it's new programs you want to offer, whether it's just sales goals. I really encourage people to put a very tactical approach around goal setting and kind of like vision, people call like vision mapping or whatever, so that you know you're getting it done. What this does is it, you know, at the top of the house really tells you what your compass is so that you know what overall goals you have. Then we can break it back down into what goals do I have, you know, for the month? Maybe it's like a larger sales goal, right? Then you can break it back down into what are the goals I have for the week to ladder up to the monthly goals. That's where we're getting back into the time and task management piece. So all of this comes with doing like kind of really small incremental things that are super aligned to what you said you want to be doing in your business. So these are my bricks. I was trying to use like a foundation analogy. And this is what it looks like. When I'm telling you this is what it looks like, this is from my perspective, what I tell people to do and where to start, right? So I want people to start down here. Get your business structure in place. This is what the hell are you, right? So what are you doing? What are the departments in your business? What are your offers? What are your packages? Like this is just the structure of your business, right? What makes everything work together? Then set your processes. Again, I want you to write this down. The reason I tell clients to write down their processes for everything that they do is so that they are very clear on what they do. When you write down your detailed process, it helps you communicate that in a clearer and more confident way to your clients and or potential clients so that they feel confident with you and saying yes to you. They're like, oh yeah, she has her shit together. She knows what's going on. I want to work with her, right? So you will write down very detailed processes for yourself. And then the client or customer facing process will be, more of a summary or a high level version of that so that it's understandable and digestible to them. But because you know all of the information behind it, it's super easy for you to explain. And it's super clear for them to say, yes, I know how this works and I want to do it. So I always tell everyone, start here with this layer of the foundation. If you don't have these things documented, it's really causing you to have inefficiencies, and it's causing you to have this lack of clarity with how you're working with your clients and how it's impacting everything else that you're doing. Once you have this layer down, then you get here, then you start doing the work. This is like, you're just in it. You're in it in the day. You're doing all of the stuff. You have an organized calendar. You have time to do all of the things that you said you need to do. You're managing a prioritized to-do list that ladders up to the goals that you have set for yourself. Whether that's small weekly goals or monthly sales goals. This is what I like to say is the muscle. So it's kind of just training yourself to work in an efficient fashion so that you start spending less time on the ticky-tacky admin-y crap things that nobody likes to do, right? So that you have more time to work in your business, you have more time to talk to clients, and you have more time to meet and talk to potential clients. I don't encourage anybody to go up here until we get all this straight. Because again, if you don't know who you are and you don't know what you're doing or how to tell people how to work with you, and then get really good at it here, you don't need systems and tools yet, because this is more a little bit of like an icing on the cake kind of thing. This is where you can start to create efficiencies for yourself, and you can start to create things and like make things easier for yourself, right? But this is like kind of putting a tool in place without having all the process behind it, which is always frustrating and is always like almost retrofitting basically. So this is great, but you have to do all this first. And then the goal setting and road mapping. This might sound kind of strange that I'm saying that this is at the top, but truly you need to just get the wheels in motion first and kind of get everything into a little bit of a well-oiled machine before you want to start looking at everything else. The reason that I say this needs to happen in the like higher level and last at the end of this is because I find that CEOs tend to get very focused on the vision and very excited, right? Rightfully so. But then all the other things underneath start going away. So if you start looking at the next thing and you haven't, kind of stabilized everything that you're doing underneath, it just becomes a big old mess. So I encourage everyone to, again, do it in this order. Figure out who you are and what you're doing. Figure out how people are working with you and how you're working internally. Do the work, then layer in the systems and tools, and then set that more strategic roadmap for yourself once you have this solid foundation to your business. I want to stop for a second because I feel like I just talked a bunch and I want to see your faces. And what questions do you have right now? What did I talk about that is a new term for you, or something that I said that you might have thought about before, but you're kind of hearing it in a different way, or something I said that might have been confusing?
I have a question about the business structure.
Mhm.
So even if we're the ones doing a lot of the different roles, like what do we use the business structure for? Like when we map it out, is that where we see, okay, we should hire someone to like take on more of this, type of role, or like what's the benefit of having it mapped out as we like progress in our goals, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a client last year where we mapped out her whole structure.
Mhm.
Her name was under every single thing, right? But she did identify that in one department, eventually that needed to go to somebody else. So it sort of sets almost like your visionary structure for your business
Mhm.
in just more of a tangible way so that you can start to fill in the names with other people one day if that's what you want to do.
Mhm.
It also shows you the swath of things that you need to do very visually so that you understand where your processes ladder up to. And if you don't have a process for something that is a department that you have, then you need to think about how are you managing that. So it kind of calls out gaps for you, but then it also helps you plan for, yes, you're right. If I got like too overwhelmed in this area, when would I look to hire somebody? But I mean, not all of us are going to hire people, right? For right now, for this is like MVP, like this is business stabilization, right? And then you iterate on it and you iterate on it. It's truly to show you everything that you have going on and all the things that you need to pay attention to. So you don't forget about finance.
Got it.
Don't forget your taxes.
Can I add a follow-up question to that?
Sure.
So if you have zero business background and like you kind of don't really know what that would entail, right? Like I know from my educational experience, kind of the organizational things that are in there.
Mhm.
But I think in some ways, this will look different. Is it as simple as kind of searching for sample org charts to just kind of help me start thinking through what those departments would be? 'Cause like, it's
No,
where
I
one-
mean, it doesn't even have to be that serious, right? I mean, list out, make a list of all the things that you've had to do so far in your business and all the things that you know you'll have to do. So whether that's, working with clients or things you know that you just have to do to keep your business running. Generally, again, you have to be the CEO. You have to do marketing and sales. You have to manage your finances. You have some administrative stuff. And you have to work with your clients. Now, I don't know what types of things you have. So that's where you want to think through for your business, Linda. What structure is in that? Is that all one thing? Is it multiple departments under working with your clients that might, be sectioned depending upon what services you're offering? But generally, I'd say if you want to start somewhere and you don't know what all the businessy stuff is, it's money, it's sales, it's marketing, it's admin. Yeah. Am I missing anything? Anybody have anything that you use that you want to tell Linda?
Hit me with it. I'll listen to everybody.
I was just thinking about account manager. If you work with clients,
Oh, client relationship. Yes.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that most solopreneurs take on that role, but it's a thing that people want. You want to pay attention to the client care piece of it, so you would maybe want to outline that role under your org chart so that you know if you need to add more activities around that, or maybe bring somebody on to manage it for you.
Thank you. Love that.
Hey everyone. Hi Danielle. My mind is just blown because I literally spent like 2 weeks setting up systems, tools, and automations. haven't done any of the bottom ones. And I've been like reeling for the past 2 weeks, being like, what is my life? What am I doing? Thank you for
So Keiko, is
setting
this
this
you?
out.
I can't see you.
my webcam won't work.
Oh,
when
that's
it's like
okay.
a
That's okay. I
open-
just wanted to make sure I knew who was talking. Yes. So the reason why, then this is why I say like you have to do the process before you get the system and the tool, is because the system and the tool enables your process. It doesn't make it for you. If you are finding a really cool tool, you're going to have to fit what it's doing. It's basically, it's going to like limit the process that you can make, because you're having to work within the confines of the functionality that the tool has already, right? Instead of building everything underneath and then finding a tool that works for what you've built. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm nodding. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's just like you just opened up my eyes to such like a overwhelming thing in the past 2 weeks, because I couldn't like put my finger on it. I couldn't figure out. I'm like, I know what I have to do. I have my task list of goals and stuff, but this just compartmentalizes it a lot better.
Yeah. And so Kristen will tell you, Kristen is my client. So I love a free tool. I will never tell you to spend money on anything. When I look at my tools, what I use is like literally bottom of the barrel. I use Adobe for contracts for eSig, right? Because there's just no like easy way to do that. And I use an invoicing tool. Those are like the only things I pay for. Oh, and I pay for Zoom now because, this is where we are. But everything else I use in like Excel or a template that I've created or something that's just like really easy to manipulate. It's not like putting me into the functionality of whatever the tool is. Like literally when I tell you I use an Excel spreadsheet to manage my tasks, that's what I do. I don't use like an Asana or, a Trello or any kind of tool. If you like to use those, I encourage you to try a free one first or the free version of something so that you can find out how you like to work. But I always start everybody just like in desktop things because you have to build that process first.
Thank you.
I want to.
I'm feeling her pain too right now too. Like it's making me think about like taking the messy action and then adding the finesse later.
That's
Right?
right.
Like, go ahead and do it. And then you'll see how things are falling in place and you can identify like, what is your process? Because you just started.
Sort of. So
Outlining the process.
like, what's that?
Outlining the process first.
Yes.
And getting clear on that.
Yes.
And knowing that you can finesse it when you're in the systems and tools area, right?
The systems and tools should support your process and make it easier and faster for you. It shouldn't make your process. You're always going to go back to tweaking your process and changing your process back on your sheet of paper where you're writing things down, right? I would say like, get your process down, understanding that you can change that at any time. If you build an entire tool around this process that you now need to change, that's where people get really stuck, because you're probably paying money for it at that point. Sorry, I see things happening in the chat. Okay.
It's just me talking to myself. It's fine.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something like critical. Okay. So when I say, I want to be clear on this, when I say write down your process, like, I mean, just like get out, I don't care what you're doing on, get out a sheet of paper, get out a Word document, use an Excel, use I don't know, like if you have a whiteboard, but list your process in a sequential order that would make sense to somebody if they worked with you. The easiest one to always start with is your client process, and it's also the most critical. So that, like, I usually tell people when we're starting with documenting that, because they don't have it documented, it's like in their head, right? So it's kind of a brain dump on me. I'll say, tell me what happens right after the point potential client says yes. Then what? And sometimes people know exactly. And sometimes people are like, I don't know, what should I do? How should I tell them how to work with me? And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? So then we walk through, what is that onboarding section? What is and within the onboarding, it's like agreement of what you're giving them contractually, very clearly, invoicing them depending upon how they're working with you in a certain structure or all up front, getting them ready to start the work. Then you have the work. I don't normally tell people how to do this because this is like what you do, right? This is your business stuff, but we document it. And then we have the closed loop of like what happens at the end of that. So they can either become an ongoing client with you. There's some type of offboarding, right? To that section in the middle where you're doing the work. But everything generally falls into the same category, no matter if you're providing them a service, you're selling them a product, it's happening in a single transaction, or you're working with them over periods of months. It always is, they say yes, and then what? Go. Then what? So start there if you're trying to figure out what that means, and don't end that process stream of thought until you guys have like parted ways. And that might be in months, right? Also, as you're documenting it, think about decision points that are happening within the process. Do they need to sign off on something? Is there a point where there could be a deviation in the process where if something happens, it goes one way or the other? So make sure I'm not saying think about all possible possibilities. I'm saying document what's going to happen 99% of the time. Do not document the exceptions because you'll never stop documenting. This is you just trying to get clear with yourself when you take in a client, how to get from go to done the same way every time so that you can get 99% of the time, so you can get really good at it so that they're like, yes, this person knows what they're doing. And then it makes it faster and more efficient for you so you can do it more and make more money or hire somebody, whatever you want to do, right? The reason that I talk about CEO, and I call all my clients CEOs because they are, right, is for this reason. Sorry. So I'm just going to get this up here. The difference between a business owner and a CEO. I just Googled this and I found it. And I was like, perfect. The business owner is just someone who's getting the money from the company. You own it. The CEO is managing everything on a day-to-day basis, whether that's the back of the house or the front of the house. You are both of these. And so the way that the company is going to be successful is not by thinking about yourself as the business owner, because that's just someone who's getting the money. It's by thinking of yourself as the chief executive officer who is managing every aspect of this company to create the profit. That's a mindset shift. Who feels that? Have you guys been thinking about yourself that way? Yell at me. Keiko, are you just still chatting?
Yeah, I'm nodding. I'm just gonna like type my actions into the chat. But no, I totally feel this. I think that, and I think for me personally, I don't know anyone on this call, but I just started my business in sense of like I haven't had one paying client yet. So it's like my focus has been on sales, sales, sales. I got to get the money back. I got to, make this business worth it. And this is such a powerful reminder that we are running something bigger than just the profit of the business.
I know.
I mean, that's important, right? But if you don't have a sale yet, you're actually in a great place to be doing this, right? Because you have time to kind of get all of this in order. But I've seen, CEOs who have been running their businesses for years as a business owner. No strategic plan, no documented processes. And again, when I say like everything doesn't have to be so serious, like when I say a documented process, it's more just so you know what's happening, right? And the point is so that when you bring somebody on, if you bring somebody on, they know what's happening too. Because that's a big job to like hire and train somebody to do something. So all of this just lays the foundation, not to be, whatever about it, too on the nose, for growing and scaling, which is really the point.
I have a question. How often should we do this? Should we do like a quarterly audit of these things? Or should we do this whenever something changes or before we hire someone? Like, what's the trigger of kind of looking at everything and maybe reorganizing, maybe redoing a process, maybe identifying a way that you could be more efficient? What's kind of that process?
Yes to all of that. I think we all as CEOs, myself included, right, can get in trouble if we just let things handle themselves for too long of a period of time. I just did, and it might've been, actually it was fine. I would say on a quarterly basis, Rachel, at a minimum, to give you like a very direct answer, to just do a look back, just like figure out what's happened and where are you going? Because if there's anything we all know from owning a small business, it's that things change a lot. And you have to be nimble to do that. And the only way you can do that is through figuring out how you want to do that and getting yourself straight. I look at it as data, right? So I think what has happened, what has worked, what has given me, the most ROI, and then what do I hate doing? What do I not want to be doing anymore? And what do I love doing? Because, and I always go back to that. You guys did not start your businesses to hate doing it. You didn't start your business just to make money. If you just wanted to make money, you just would have gone to a bank and gotten a job, right? So you need to make sure that you love what you're doing. And that just comes from constant reevaluation. Quarterly is great. I wouldn't encourage you to change things quarterly, but it's great to do a quarterly assessment of where you are in combination with this whole goal setting road mapping for an annual basis, because that allows you to always have that compass there to look back and say, am I going in the direction that I thought I was going to be going? Am I making strides towards that? If I'm not, why? Is it because I don't want to be going in this direction? Or is it because I haven't been doing, like I don't have the things underneath in my foundation to get me there? And then it'll reveal the gaps to you. But I think it needs to be a combination of having a strategic annual plan and then quarterly assessments of kind of where you are.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it's any business, that you would learn if you were at any company, right? It's not mind blowing, but for CEOs of small businesses, and I tell this to people all the time because they're like, damn, why didn't I think of that? I'm like, because you're doing everything else, because you have too much going on. And when you're in a job somewhere where you're working for someone, to do these things and it makes total sense to you because you're just focused on that one thing. But Kristen, to your point, if you put out the whole org chart of everything that you're doing, that is why it's so hard. And if everybody could do it, they would. They can't. You guys are the CEOs. You're the ones doing it, right? So this is just a way to, I would say, Rachel, kind of going back to your question, I always encourage everyone, if they're making a change, to make the change, let it stabilize for a little bit, and then review your data of what happened. So don't make a change every week. You don't really know what's working. Don't make a change every month necessarily. Like, you kind of need a quarter's worth of data to figure out if you're good or if you want to change. But it's the stabilization part that I strive to get everybody to. Because once you stabilize, then you can go up again, right? Like, that's the exciting part to me. Like, once somebody's good and I'm like, let's go up. All right, we're really good on time. On the next slide, I just have some things that I've heard from people previously. Does anything resonate with anybody? Looking for better prioritization and goal setting, help my pricing, more clients, I need to document stuff, time management, stop doing so much admin crap. There's a bunch of things in here with like tools and systems, time and task management, general goal setting, foundational type things. What questions do you guys have? Like, use the rest of this time to ask me anything you want. Does anybody have a particular struggle right now or something you're trying to figure out?
I just want to say thank you, because I just mapped out my client process for right after the yes. Like, I just needed to hear that, and
Good.
I have a draft.
Yes. And it didn't take that long, did it?
No,
Most of the time, you know your processes. You just didn't write them down. And because you wrote it down, you know exactly what it is now, and it's going to be that much easier to make the sale, basically. Because you can tell somebody exactly what happens and how they work with you. And that sounds professional and confident.
I would love to hear a little bit more about some of your tactics with time management. That is something that, I'm not horrible at it. There are days and weeks even that I'm like, go Keiko, you fucking did it. You blocked off your time and you did exactly what you said you were going to do. But then there's weeks where I'm like, what day is it? What is my name? And what did I do the last 5 days? So I'd love to hear about just like those ebbs and flows and how maybe I can proactively prepare for them a little bit better.
Oh yeah, this is everybody's struggle. So it's a combination of goal setting, tactical time and task management, and then Keiko, you'll enjoy this, like a little bit of woo, right? So the goal setting is, I set goals for myself every month, meaning like, what date is this webinar going to be? This webinar was a monthly goal for me. What date am I going to be sending out my newsletter, or like my Ninja Notes, which has, information in there about how you can manage things better in your business? What date am I doing this? I don't know, whatever it is, IG Live, something, whatever, like things that are happening, right? In addition to my sales goals. So these are things that I know I'm going to have to do work around to make them happen. And then I obviously like slot them into my calendar. And I keep a very prioritized task list that I curate on a weekly and then basically daily basis. So if I know my goal was this, like, let's just use the webinar. This webinar was the goal on March 19th. That's when it had to happen, right? I had to do a lot of work around this to get it out. So I needed to do admin work to like set up the Eventbrite and, promote it and do whatever, like make the pretty Canva template to put, on social and put places, right? I had to do all of that stuff. Those were all tasks on my task list, individual tasks. Okay, I'll say the first thing with task setting is making sure that your tasks are small enough that you can get them done in the period of time that you've set for yourself or like allowed for yourself on your calendar in your time blocking, right? And then on a weekly basis, I look at my calendar and I figure out what else I have going on. Do I have, some other place that I'm presenting? Do I have a lot of client meetings, this week and I don't next week? I basically do a weekly reconciliation of what work can I get done this week? And then I assign those tasks on a daily basis to myself, meaning like this task is going to be done on Monday. This task is going to be done on Tuesday. Looking at the day, and this is the woo part, being honest with myself about what I'm really going to get done. If I have more than 5 tasks in one day, it's too many for me. Because I know I usually have meetings every day. I usually try and save a big task like putting these materials together or something that's going to take me a little bit more time for a day when I have a whole afternoon open. Because honestly, in there somewhere, I'm probably going to go to the kitchen and eat something for a few minutes and take my dog out for a walk and do whatever, right? But it's making sure you know what your goals are. So what are you working on, right? So you're not just off working on everything, because everything can't be important all the time. It's making sure that you break things down into small enough tasks that you can actually complete them in the time blocks that you've set for yourself. And then it's calibrating the work that you need to do every week on a weekly basis and being honest and real with yourself about what you're actually gonna do. So
Yeah, that last part for sure. Because I definitely give myself like 20, and especially like, in relation to just this group, and we are our own bosses. No one is telling us like, did you get this done? Did you get that done? Did you get this done? So I feel like I overshoot to make sure I'm doing enough in my own book. And that's where I find like the weeks where I put too much on the board. And I like the whole, like having the monthly, of course, it comes back to that foundation building. So, I feel that. But thanks. Yeah, that
yeah,
is super
if
helpful.
you are doing this and you're assigning like so many things to yourself, right? And you find yourself saying, oh, I could probably get all this done tomorrow. Nope, back it up. If you don't feel 100% confident that you can get all that shit done, you're not going to get it done, because you've already kind of cut yourself off and said, I guess if people say that to me, if my client says that one time, yeah, I could probably do this then. No, you're not. You're not being honest with yourself. So it's like having that internal gut check to say like, okay. And so use that as a trigger. If you feel like, I guess I could do, let me just cram that in, like, stop, go back. You're not going to do it. If I wake up one morning, I usually try and get up and work out every morning. If I wake up one morning and I look at my alarm clock and I turn it off and I'm like, I could probably get up, I definitely go back to sleep. If I don't get up right away and I'm like, I'm doing this, if I have even a little doubt about it, it's just not happening. And I find that to be true with most people.
Yes, thank you.
What else, guys? How do you feel about your foundations? Do you have most of the bricks in place? Do you know what should be in each brick? Any questions?
I definitely feel better now. I put that in the chat. Like I feel, yeah, like my very airy head where I'm very visual and like out there and can be really heady, like having it blocked out like that in such a strategic and intentional way is so helpful.
Good.
Yeah, I definitely need to tighten up and just write down my internal process. I did a really good job when I first set up my business. It's been about 2 years now. And I don't think I've been updating it. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, now I do this because I'm just me right now. But I just hired kind of like an intern person, and getting her kind of onboarded I'm like, shit, like I should have done this a
Mhm.
lot longer time ago. So it would have been a smoother onboarding. So it's been a really like good thing. But now I realize like I have her focused on a couple of projects, and now I realize I need to go back and do all of that for all of the different areas. So this has been very encouraging and enlightening.
Good, good. If you're trying to save time on that, Rachel, with the intern, I would encourage you to do like on the job stuff. So just do it as she's doing something new. If it's not updated or it's not documented out, just like do it as you're telling her to do it versus creating another thing to do for yourself.
That's a very good point.
Because that basically you'll have to do it twice if you do it that way. Yeah, it's funny. On another webinar, somebody asked about interns, and you're illustrating a great point, Rachel, which is like, it doesn't matter if you're paying somebody or not, and you might be paying her, but like if they're, a full-time employee or not, the work is the same. The work to have somebody working in your business that is not you and telling somebody things that has just been in your head this whole time is the same, no matter what.
Well, and it's been an interesting process of how to prioritize where I should, because I am paying her. It's not a lot, but I am paying her and she's a student. And so there's a lot of like, where can I get the most bang for my buck type of a thing, which has been a good kind of audit of everything in the business too. But yeah, it's a lot of work. I didn't realize when I first decided to do it. So
Absolutely. Yeah, Kristen, my client, is hiring right now. If you guys know any great video or podcast editors, she's hiring. But yeah, that's the first thing I said to her. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring them on." I was like, no, hold on. Wait, do they know what to do? Do you know how to tell them what to do? It's a whole other situation.
Yes. And I think that's where it helps to have somebody in your corner to be like, okay, you can just put a job description out and expect everything to go smoothly. Like, when are you blocking out time to onboard them? When are you blocking out for interviews and stuff like that? Things that I just didn't think about in the context of my overall like client projects that I already have to spend all my time doing. So it definitely helps to have guidance during the process.
Just for folks that are in a place where you might be hiring, Rachel, you might be hiring, later down the road, right? I had a past client that she's hiring again. She had somebody that didn't work out. And she thought, should I hire one full-time person or two part-time people? And so she said, I think I'm going to hire two part-time people because I got burned the first time because the first person didn't work out. So that's like a great kind of intro. If it's like your first hires with something, is to find a couple people, because it's kind of the same amount of work to like set stuff up for somebody. But then if one of them doesn't work out, you're not completely SOL, which she is right now. Anything else, guys? We took almost the whole time, which is great. I love to hear your questions and your feedback.
Are you going to send out this deck, Danielle?
Yes,
I have to admit, I
will
was
send out. Absolutely. Good to
double-booked.
see you.
Yeah, good seeing you.
I will send out the deck and the recording. Okay, so you guys
Perfect.
will all have it.
Excellent.
And then just in this deck, there's these links. So if you want to connect or you want to learn more about my COO programs, or just down here, I'm actually going to show you this guy right here, this little light bulb. This goes to all of my resources. So past webinars, past Ninja Notes, where I talk about stuff, just kind of like a lot of stuff that you can, comb through at your leisure. But this is a really good one because it has everything there. So I'd love to talk to you past this and just learn more about what you have going on and, connect, stay connected. Anything else? This is great, guys. I hope this is helpful. Like I said, let me know if you have any questions. I'm always here. I'm usually on Instagram more than anywhere else. So hit me up. I'm around. All right, CEOs. Thank you.
Thanks, Danielle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Helpful.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.